Do you believe in werewolves? In this day and age, it's probably not a common belief, but people all over are reporting sightings of these creatures. Werewolves, the dog man. Whatever the term used, people claim they're real and they're out there. Good evening. Welcome to Chiller Chat, the talk show that discusses topics of horror, science fiction, and the paranormal. I'm your host, Bryan Hogue, and my guest tonight is Brian Seech, the director of the Center for Cryptozoological Studies. Brian, thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Brian. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm getting your picture and your logo pulled up on the phone or on the screen right now on the YouTube version. So
you want to scare everybody away with my picture?
Yeah. the logo for the Center of Cryptozoological Studies. Now you're located in northwestern Pennsylvania. Where specifically?
Actually, southwestern Pennsylvania. We're in
okay.
Beaver County.
Oh, in Beaver County. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I talked to you before. You were on a version of Chiller Chat. We called it Chiller Night Radio, and we talked a little bit about you and your wife Terry. You're referred to as the Mulder and Scully of Beaver County, correct?
Yeah, we're kind of self-proclaimed. We even had a cartoon done on us in a local Pittsburgh paper, so we kind of embrace that a little bit.
That's pretty neat. You guys have been doing a lot of studies on like I've seen over the summer, like a lot of your Bigfoot investigations and stuff like that. So you guys are busier than I would have expected.
Yeah, we pretty much, also we have, what's called life we have to deal with, and we like to do things outside of the paranormal realm too. But yeah, we try to always keep busy. One of the main things we like to do is follow up on sighting reports, whether they be of these dogman creatures, especially Bigfoot. You get more of Bigfoot reports, but we also, if we happen to get any UFO sightings or some, check out some ghostly haunts, we'll do that also. So we kind of run the gambit of everything, and we even check out here in Venango County, checking out that God Rock, Indian God Rock. We checked that out and got some pictures there. So we like to mix it up and kind of do a bunch of different things.
Well, I find the topic of tonight's show very, very fascinating, and we were discussing earlier, like possible topics for the show tonight, and you had mentioned the Dogman as one of the possibilities, and I thought that is perfect with this being streamed on October 9th. Here we are in October. It's close to Halloween. I just thought that was a neat topic with the werewolves or Dogman as now. Where did the term Dogman? I mean, why are they calling it Dogman and not Wolfman? I mean, why the change in? Is that to get away from maybe the TV concept of what this creature is?
Well, yeah. Usually, when you talk about the term werewolf, it is like a person that was bitten by a wolf who actually transforms into a killer canid that attacks and kills people. It's more of a Hollywood version. Basically, there was a couple instances. Actually, I can go backtrack a little bit to kind of start on the phenomena. Is the Beast of Bray Road was first spotted in 1936. It was outside of Elkhorn, Wisconsin. There was a rash of sightings in the late 80s and 90s, and a local journalist from Elkhorn, Linda Gottfried, started to research them. So she was skeptical at first, and she researched them, and then she starts getting all these reports of people seeing this creature that actually looked like a werewolf. And also it also goes to the dog man is the Michigan dog man. It was first seen in 1887 in Wexford County by a couple of lumberjacks who said that they saw a creature that had like a man's body and a dog's head. And so what happened there was in 1987, there was a disc jockey named Steve Cook who kind of recorded a song based on local Indian legend there of this wolf-like creature, and he did it kind of like it was a prank. It was called The Legend. And after he did that, all of a sudden people were coming forward, and they said, "Hey, we actually saw this. It's not a joke." And I think up to now he has over 100 reports of people claiming that they've seen this creature that kind of resembles modern, a Hollywood werewolf.
Wow.
So the term dog man now is kind of what we use instead of werewolf. Not that it, bipedal canine cryptid is another one that you could use, but we try to stay away from the old, stay away from the werewolf. But that's what most people know. It's not, we say dog man, but what is a dog man? Well, it's like a werewolf.
Well, does it have the same characteristics that, do people claim that these are people who are transforming their, into these creatures?
No. Basically, the sightings and I can speak especially for the sightings that we received. This is basically a creature. It seems to be a physical entity, a creature, almost like a giant wolf on two legs that walks, has sometimes amber glowing eyes, yellow eyes.
So this is just a new species of animal or a creature of some type, huh?
Well, see, it's possible. I mean, I actually don't know. Kind of what I tell people when we started to research this, we researched it. Linda Gosby had a book out. Was called "Hunting the American Werewolf," and there was a section in there that talked about the Shenango Valley werewolf. Okay. And we lived up in Mercer County. That's in Mercer County. We lived in Grove City for 3 years, and we never heard of this when we lived up there. So we started to do some research. We were at a local conference, and we said, looking for sightings of the Shenango Valley werewolf. And an eyewitness came forward and claimed that she saw one of these little creatures, which back then, this is in the late 50s, early 60s, they called the dog boy. So we went up and we interviewed her, and we actually were able to get her onto the show Monsters and Mysteries in America on the Shenango Valley dog boy.
Okay.
And unfortunately, they didn't really do it justice. What actually happened? It was her mother and a bunch of friends walking down Hopper Road one night, and they hear this howl, and this little creature on all fours came running up to her, was all covered in hair, and grabbed her and tried to pull her down the road. Well, her mother grabbed her, and all the kids started screaming, and they ran the other way, and this creature turned around and ran back. And so there was a house on the road where they claimed this dog boy lived. Well, through some research and things like that, we kind of surmised that this wasn't a little werewolf boy. It was a boy who had, which we believe is called hypertrichosis, which is commonly called werewolf syndrome. And he had hair all over his body. We believe he was deformed because he didn't have hands. He kind of had like cloven hoofs. Okay, but he did wear clothes, and allegedly he lived at this house until I believe we think it was like the early 70s, because where it gets more interesting is starting in the 70s, you started to have this phenomenon called the Erie Wolf Boy. And we were up at a conference up in Erie, and we had a drawing of the original witness in Mercer. And the guy said, "This is what I saw. This boy, he was a boy, he lived on Peach Street, and they kept him in the basement, and they had like bars on the windows. And the mother talking like a heavy Italian, or not Italian, a European accent, almost like Russian, okay? And that matches up with what they were saying about what happened in Mercer with this boy. And the interesting thing is when the original witness was grabbed by this creature, she drew like the eyes. She said like the eyes were red, almost like it had pink eye, and one eye was drooping. Okay. Well, that would make sense. They said the same thing about this Erie, the dog boy in Erie, and they had a red light on downstairs. Now, we think they might have had that red light because this boy also had some kind of eye condition where his eye was red. So, you put two and two together. It's like, well, that could explain this mystery. We don't think it was a werewolf boy or anything like that, like a baby werewolf type creature. Although there are some people up there that say that this was a creature, but it was conjured up by a coven of witches were in the area. Now, that's another commonly held term that's happened there in Mercer County. So I think that, the explanation that we came up with probably fits that. Fits that. So, was it a werewolf boy? I really don't think so.
So the boy, you're thinking it just had a this physical condition. Is that probably something like they used to have in the circuses, or like the traveling circuses and stuff like that? That exploit these people and their deformities. back in the day.
But what was real interesting about this area is, well, suddenly in the late 80s and early 90s, late 70s to now, now they're seeing this creature that does resemble one of these dogmen, about 7 to 8 foot tall canid creature that people have seen. And we recently, got a report. It was from 2000 and it was September 28th, 1993. A woman was driving on Route 173 about 2:35 in the morning, and some deer ran across the road. She stops in the middle of the road, and there's this wolf-like creature on 2 legs staring at her, and she claimed there was spit coming out of its mouth and growling at her. She said it was real skinny and had like skinny legs, and she, watched it for a short period of time, and then she went in reverse and then turned around and got out of there, and she was looking back to see if this creature was running after her, and it didn't. And she says, we should leave this thing alone. We don't know where it came from. She's really scared. And she did actually make a drawing of it. And it kind of resembles what the other drawing that we got in the late 80s and 90s of what this creature looked like. So, it was 2 different phenomena out there in Mercer County.
So, have you ever seen any, like in Bigfoot, you see the prints and you see physical evidence left behind, or some people believe is a physical evidence of the creature. Have you seen anything to indicate that this thing exists?
We've seen no physical evidence. The cases that we get, none of them are recent. One of we did one in Lawrence County where this small creature was seen in a cemetery, and it was right before an electrical storm, and this creature came around the car while the mother was finishing up her walk around the cemetery. But there was a bad storm, a thunderstorm. We got there about a week after it happened, and of course, we went right to the area where their car was parked, and we didn't find any evidence. So most of the sightings we get are older sightings, because people, even though our names are out there and we try to have people come to us, we receive very few that are new. We did receive one in Allegheny County, which we were able to check about a week later, and it was off on the side of a road. And I actually knew the witness. I worked with her. She's an Army veteran, and she says, I know what deer look like, and I know this thing looked like a giant wolf and was walking on 2 feet, and it walked into the woods. It was close to the Pittsburgh airport, actually. And we checked it out, but it was too dry. We didn't see anything that something that big could have went through there. So we have never received any physical evidence, unfortunately.
Have you ever seen any reported photographs, anything like that?
Jody Cook runs an organization which we're part of called the North American Dogman Project, and he's seen, he's had some photos that people claim, hey, this could be a dogman, but some of them were at a larger, longer distance. So I've never seen any photo that I can say, hey, that's a real photo,
Yeah. I didn't know that this was actually supposed to be a new type of species. I thought it was something to do with like the tales from the Indians about the shapeshifters and stuff like that. I mean,
or the skinwalker, yeah.
Yeah. So this is something totally different than that.
Well, I mean, it seems to be. I actually, like I said, I don't really know what to make of the phenomena. I mean, is this a new species? Boy, it would be kind of hard to say that all of these species are out there, and then you would have Bigfoot and Dogmen and Mothman and everything. All these creatures out having a card party in the middle of the woods or something like that. One of the things with some of our sightings, these creatures seem to either go close to or actually go into power substations, or there's a buildup of electricity, as in that Newcastle case. So, I mean, could these creatures just be an interdimensional type creature that, when there's some kind of power or energy, these things can come through dimensions? I know it's not a popular thing to say if you're a quote-unquote cryptozoologist, and I'm not saying that they are or they aren't. It's just something that we do look into.
Well, didn't you
Don't
say
have any answers though.
was one that you said was seen in the cemetery? Was that during an electrical storm? Is that what you?
Right before an electrical storm. As soon as they got in their car, the creature left as soon as the mother came back, and then just then, boom, it was just a big rain thunderstorm type thing. Yeah. So is the common denominator here? Could it be some kind of a, could these creatures be interdimensional? I know there's a researcher in Kentucky named Barton Nunley. He received a report where this farmer was in his field, and he looks in the middle of the field. He sees a shimmer. Okay, kind of like if you're driving down a hot road at the, when it's real hot, you see that shimmer on the road coming up from the road.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, he sees this shimmer, and the farmer sees this giant canid creature come out of it, just like it appears. And he said it looked around, and it was sniffed the air. Then he saw the farmer. He claimed the thing growled. He stepped back, and then it disappeared. So, could some of these creatures be somehow, some way, and I'm not a scientist that can, knows quantum physics or, dimensions and things like that. Could some of these dogman creatures be an interdimensional species? I'm not sure. I wish I had answers for you.
Yeah. I've been hearing that come up quite a bit, as I talk to more, paranormal investigators, like Stan Gordon, for example. And
Mm-hmm.
he's another one who's hesitant to actually, say that or just, but it kind of makes sense. If these things are real, it kind of makes sense that maybe there's some kind of door or veil lifting, and they're coming in and exiting in some way. I mean, we don't understand, but I guess I don't know, how else would you explain it? Even the UFOs and Bigfoots, I know Stan had connected the Bigfoot with the UFO sightings of 1973, the mass sightings back in the early 70s. I don't know, who's to say. There's a lot of strange things that are going on, and a lot of strange things that are possible, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to look. I mean, we try to keep an open mind on all of our investigations. Now we're, being quote unquote, we research cryptozoology. We are looking for a physical animal in any creature case that we take. Our first thing is we're looking for physical evidence of a physical creature or an entity. Whether they are or not, I'm not 100% sure, but this is how we start our cases. We're actually looking for signs that something went through there, possibly, hopefully a print, or, possibly some hair, or, maybe you get a vocalization, you get it captured on, we're looking for some kind of proof that this creature was there. And I believe you have to start your research that way. Wherever it leads, it's going to lead. Yeah.
Well, I just think that's fascinating. Now, you also, last time I talked to you, you brought up, and this would be more on the werewolf side, of somebody who claimed that they had seen somebody actually transform into a werewolf or a creature, right? I mean, am I getting that right?
Yes. That happened we were at a Bigfoot meeting, and I had, got up and said a couple quick things about my group and about, we do research these dogman-like entities. So this gentleman came over and says, I want to tell you something. And he says, whether you believe me or not, it's up to you. And he did say that his grandfather took him out in this field, and he said, you stay here. And his grandfather walked out in the field, and he says, I swear my grandfather changed into this giant wolf. He says, and I guess the way I was looking at him, he says, I don't care whether you believe me or not. This is what I saw.
Huh.
Now, just on me, I don't believe a person can physically change into a creature like that. But what if they could, somehow mentally make you think that they turned into?
Yeah.
I mean, again, and it's beyond my comprehension how anyone can do that.
Yeah.
But for a person to, physically make that transformation, I don't believe it's possible. I mean, I can't say 100% because some of the stuff we've researched makes no sense. So for me to say 100% on that is unfair.
Well, you'd probably have to know more about it too. Like, what time of the day was it? Was it nighttime? Was it, how was the
Evening, I
weather
think he said,
outside?
yeah.
Is it something to where your vision could be manipulated in some way?
Yes.
So, a magician pulls a coin out of someone's ear, sleight of hand.
Yeah,
I mean,
possibly maybe the grandfather, because he was a little ways away from him. Maybe he had like a little pelt rolled up, and then maybe he kind of put it over him, and
yeah.
And power of suggestion. I mean, and that's unfair. I can't say he didn't see what he saw. You see what I mean? It'd be unfair. I was not there.
Yeah.
It would be unfair. Sometimes, I do say, hey, it's unfair of me to say what he saw because I wasn't there. And I do like to say that. And in fairness to the eyewitness. I mean, because I've never seen one of these creatures. But I do believe that people who I've talked to believe that they have seen these things.
Yeah.
I have no explanation for it.
No, I believe a lot of them do. I mean, just with the people that I met at the paranormal conference back in April that I went to and saw you, I spoke to quite a bit of people, and I mean, I have no doubt that they believe that they saw what they saw, and I can't explain it, and they couldn't explain it. They're just, they were just telling me what they saw or what they believe they saw. So. Oh, now
hopefully you will be at our next one, which will be next year, April 6th. Just to get a quick plug-in for our conference.
yeah. I plan to. Is it going to be in the same place? Do you know, Lincoln?
Yeah, same place.
Okay.
It'll be on Saturday, April 6th, and we have 2 guest speakers so far, and we're lining more up. And one of them is going to be Jeff Walmsley, who runs the Mothman Conference down in Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So we're looking forward to him. And the other one is our good friend Amy Berry Lane. She'll be talking about ghosts, and we have another 3 more we have to announce yet. So
okay. Well, I have one of the viewers on Facebook, Autumn. She asked she wrote, "Does it have claws?" Now I take it she's talking about the Dogman. So do you have reports that you believe that they have claws just like a wolf, right?
Yes, we do believe this. Several reports we have that they claim that they have, they don't have hands, they have more like claws. So I would say yes. Now allegedly there's 6 or 7 different species of these dogmen type things, from baboon-like to more wolf-like to less wolf-like to, there's actually, I think, maybe 5 or 6 now, I forget, possibly 7 different alleged types, baboon-like even. But the ones that we've received is the ones that I can speak of, is they're more canid looking, almost like what an upright walking wolf would look like, the ones that we have received.
Okay. Well, let me ask if any of you viewers have any questions, feel free to submit those just like Autumn did, and we'll try to get Brian to answer those. We only have a couple minutes left, if you can believe that. That was
quick, huh?
Time flies. I feel a little bit more comfortable with the Saturday night Chiller Night Live as far as time wise, because I have a whole hour there. So maybe I'll start, if these really start taking off, maybe I'll have to extend the time to an hour for Chiller Chat. But for now it's a 30-minute episode. But yeah, that's a fascinating subject. I just thought, okay, whether it's somebody transforming or a new species entirely, it's just as interesting to me as the Bigfoot phenomenon. It's something that we don't know what it is. People are seeing it, and like you said, the Michigan Dogman back in the late 1800s. I mean, this has been
1887. Yeah. So these creatures have been seen, like I said, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio's got a very big population of sightings in Ohio, and then Pennsylvania also.
Now, Brad writes, "Have you ever seen the Wolfman yourself?" Now, are you? Oh, Brian. The only Wolfman I've seen, Brad, are the ones on these movies here, and I'm holding up, Brian. I'm holding up some videotapes. Of Curse of the Werewolf and Werewolf of London, some of my many horror props. No, that's.
How about this to end it? Even a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. That's from the Werewolf with Lon Chaney, 1941.
The Wolfman, yes, and you
Yep.
know what? That's funny. You said the original version, the autumn moon is bright. They actually changed it after that, but you quoted the original version. So that's I was wondering if you were gonna say that one. That's pretty neat. Yeah. Yep. One of my favorite movies for Halloween.
Oh,
So,
I love it. I love it. Now, I personally don't want to see anybody change into a werewolf myself.
Yeah.
If it is possible,
Yeah.
I'll be out of there. Unless I have some silver bullets or something.
Yeah, I suspect that they're probably not going to be too friendly if they're turning into a werewolf. So yeah, I need to go Lone Ranger on them and get the silver bullets out. But hey, Brian, it was a pleasure talking to you. I tell you what, I'm just surprised how quickly this episode went. It just flew by.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was. I'll have to have you on again, and
sure. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a lot of the folks that I met at the conference and that I've been meeting through you and through others, through Stan Gordon, who I can't wait to get on the show. And finally, I have a way to actually keep up with a weekly format here with Chiller Chat. So
yeah, and I can send you a bunch of names and phone numbers of people who I know would love to be on your show. So just let me know.
Great, fantastic. Brian, thanks again for joining us. I appreciate you being my guest. And everybody out there, thank you for joining us this week for Chiller Chat. And have a great night, have a great chiller night, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
How many times do I have to tell you, just because something isn't good doesn't mean it's bad?
Oh, jeez.